This podcast is sponsored by FedBiz Access, government contracting made simple. I'm Miles Minich, and I do marketing for small businesses. You are listening to FedBiz 5, where you get informed, get connected, and get results. Hello, and welcome back, FedBiz 5 family. We are back today. We have a special guest, Ms. Tracy Plant. How are you doing today, Ms. Tracy?
Very good.
Great. We thank you for being here, and we thank you for joining us today. Ms. Tracy, before we actually begin, can you just tell us what you do?
I am the Vice President of Sales here at FedBiz Access, and I oversee our consultants as well as make sure our client family is taken care of from initial investment to fulfillment.
Amazing. So let me ask you a question, Ms. Tracy. If you had to say one thing to describe why SAM is so important to a small business, what would it be?
Oh, that's a great question. Now, there's many reasons. I won't go into all of them, obviously, because you want one. Yeah. I think if I have to say just one thing, it's the DSBS, which is the Dynamic Small Business Search.
There's so many questions. But first, why is it so important to a small business?
Well, I'm glad you asked. To put it simply, though, Chris, federal buyers, they're required to do market research. It's part of the rules, federal acquisition regulation rules that they have to do market research. The DSBS, or Dynamic Small Business Search, is one of the platforms that they're going to use to find and select a small business to procure their products or their services, especially for any awards that are not posted or not competed.
Okay, so we know that SAM and DSBS pretty much relate. So would you say that all small businesses that are registered with SAM, they have a DSBS?
Small businesses that are registered for all awards and are for-profit companies, yes. However, don't confuse that with a DSBS that has been completed or is made to be competitive. They have it, and there's a small amount of information from their SAM registration that pulls over just basic information.
Okay, so it's there, but you actually have to go in and start doing stuff. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure. When somebody registers in SAM, okay, they're eligible for government contracting. But SAM does have two parts. SAM has the accounting profile, which is what most people go in. They get their cage code. They have I'm active and now I'm eligible for federal contracting. But that's kind of a far cry from being competitive, or not just eligible, but ready to compete or being selected for any kind of government awards. Being eligible is just you did your SAM registration, the accounting profile is done. The DSBS is a marketing profile. So that part is a platform that the government uses to go in and find small businesses, to select them to procure their goods or services. And there's a process to that. They would search by a NAICS code, by a keyword. So if a company doesn't have the proper NAICS codes that, let's say, the government is utilizing to label what they sell, what product or service they sell, which, takes research and probably a whole nother podcast on that. But if they don't have their keywords either, they're just not going to show up in a search. So for this conversation, though, let's say they do. They show up in a search. They have some keywords and they have some NAICS codes. A federal buyer, which could be a contracting officer or a prime contractor, does a search and a small business shows up. The next thing they're going to do is kind of go under a microscope. They're going to say, what's their narrative? Does the narrative have information that is something that I'm looking for? Is the product or service I'm looking for in that narrative? So I know to dive a little deeper. They're going to look at their past performance. Do they have past performance from 10 years ago listed? Do they have any past performance listed? They're going to look at their NAICS codes. They're going to look if they have bonding levels, if that's applied to them. They're going to look at their business type percentages. So there's a lot of stuff on the DSBS that they're going to look at. An error, an omission, a none given, an empty field, those are all red flags. So a small business can be disqualified immediately and just, their profile shut down and they go to the next, a competitor of theirs that, they're going to look to see if they have a complete profile. So the DSBS is hugely important, especially for people, small businesses that have a average order that's within like the micro purchase threshold where they don't have to post them for bid. They just have to go and find you and look for you. So it's important when they're looking that you are complete and competitive on your DSBS to be the one that's selected.
Beautiful. Thank you for being here, Ms. Tracy. And with that being said, this is FedBiz 5, where you get informed, get connected, and get results on government contracting. That is it for today. Have an amazing day. This podcast is sponsored by FedBiz Access, government contracting made simple. For more information, visit fedbizaccess.com. That's FEDBIZ access.com. Our phone number is 877-376-4249. The extension code is 407. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.